Hey everybody, it's Lon Seidman. I picked up a new printer the other day. This is the Brother HL-8360 CDW. It is replacing a black and white Lexmark laser printer that I've been using now for over a decade. That printer is starting to fall apart, and when I looked at the cost of repairing it, it just didn't make sense because I could get a new printer with more features for less money, and that speaks to some of the e-waste issues with these printers. Now this one is a color laser printer. It's probably a little bit more than I needed, but it has all the features that I was looking for, and I had to get myself sized into something of this class in order to make it all work. So this will print black and white laser and of course color, and the reason why I prefer laser printers is because of my printing frequency. I print a black and white page or two at least every day that I'm working down here in the studio. I have my cheat sheets that come out on black and white prints here, but I print color from time to time, enough that I need it, but not enough that an inkjet makes sense for me. And I do have an inkjet printer over there, and it clogs up constantly because I'm only printing color maybe once or twice a month, and I'm wasting all this ink just trying to keep the printer running. What's nice about this is that I can leave the color portion sitting, and it will spin right back up no matter how many weeks or months there are in between color prints. And that was part of the reason why I went with the color laser printer here. And I'll dive into more detail on this in just a second, but I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for the printer with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one has reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded, and of course this is not a sponsored review. So let's get into it now and see what this new Brother printer is all about. Now the price point on this comes in at $449. That's what I paid for it the other day. The toner replacement runs about $87 for the black cartridge. That's the high yield cartridge that gives you 4,500 pages. They have a 3-pack of the standard yield color for $229, and that includes 1,800 pages, and that $229 price tag is for all 3 of the toner cartridges. Now you do have a couple of different options for toner on this. They do come with cartridges that are regular size cartridges when you buy this, so you don't have those sample ones. And what I'll do here is just fold this down for a second so you can see how big everything is here. So you have your black cartridge here in the back along with cyan, magenta, and yellow. I'm using the lower yield cartridges, or at least that's my plan for the color based on how often or not I print color. But the black one I do print more frequently, and that's the one I'll be running the high yield cartridge through. So you can pick and choose the yield of your cartridges. Now when they tell you the page numbers you can expect out of a toner cartridge, it is based on coverage. So for example, this is the kind of page they're thinking about when they talk about 4,500 pages off the black yielded cartridge. And this is not obviously filling the page. If I have something like you'll see me print in a few minutes that has a greater amount of page coverage, we're going to get less pages out of that toner cartridge when we have more toner on the paper. So just be aware that when they're talking about the expected pages you can get out of something, this is the kind of thing that they're thinking of, basically text on the page. The good news with laser though, especially color laser, is that you're not wasting a lot of toner cleaning everything out. So you will get more pages out of this. Your cost per page versus an inkjet is probably going to be better on this depending on what printer brand you go with. And the reason why I went with Brother was that the toner cost on this was a lot less than it was on the HP printer that I was also looking at. So the long-term ownership cost was something I was very keenly aware of here, and I like the fact that they give you a couple of different yield options for the toner that goes into this. So I think it's going to be a good match here over time based on how little I print these days, especially in color, but again, enough to make it worthwhile. Now, the reason why I went with the bigger printer, even though I don't print all that often, is that this one has a nice manual feeder. So you can load 50 pages on here. You can put envelopes and cards on this and print them straight through. You can open up the back and have everything just go right through, which is helpful when you've got index cards and that sort of thing. And that was something that was available on some of the other printers, but they didn't have as much capacity in the manual feed. And my wife is always printing out stuff for the PTO. We need a little more flexibility for being able to print stuff. And then on the bottom here, it has a 250 sheet tray. And then you can buy additional trays to go underneath to add a little more capacity later if you need it. and they sell a version of this with a higher capacity tray option in the box as well. Now, this is a laser printer, which means it is larger and heavier than an inkjet. So it weighs in at 47.9 pounds. It doesn't feel that heavy. They've got a very nice set of handles on each side that make it very easy to grab the center of gravity and pick it up, but it is heavy. That's 21.7 kilograms. Its depth from the front to the back is 19.1 inches or 486 millimeters. From the top to the bottom is 12.3 inches or 313 millimeters, and the face here is 16.1 inches or 410 millimeters. So rather large, but not much larger than a black and white laser printer of the same class. So they definitely packed in a lot of room on this. Now, the resolution of this is 2400 by 600, basically a 600 dpi printer. As you'll see, text is very sharp. One of the things that laser printers are very good at are text and business graphics, and this printer is no exception. It's rated for a duty life of about 4,000 prints per month. So if you're in a very high volume environment, this may not be enough, but certainly for my low volume environment, it would be fine. And in a small office, I think it'll be fine as well. There's no bells and whistles on here beyond printing. There's no scanner or fax attachment or anything like that. It's not an all-in-one, just a printer. So we won't be demoing any of that today. Setup was very simple. I just turned it on, and using the display here on the top, I connected it to my Wi-Fi, and I was able to then have all of my computers connect to it automatically. Windows, Mac, Chromebooks, all connected just fine. My iPads and iPhones and Android devices also found the printer on the network, so all was good there. There is one little discrepancy that you have to deal with on the Mac side versus Windows, which I'll talk about as we get into the printing section, but the setup process was super easy once I got it on the network. You have Wi-Fi as an option. You can also connect it up via Ethernet, and there's a USB port on the back of it as well. So let's talk now about print speed and quality. This printer is rated for 33 pages per minute in black and white and in color. That does not include the processing time it might need to get your image ready for printing. So once it gets going, it should do about 33 pages per minute. And what we're going to print out here first is just a black and white document of a bunch of text, a bunch of gibberish text. I've got 5 pages here, and we're going to use my Mac to start. So we've got it all set up here to run all 5 pages. You'll note, though, that I turned print in color off. And the reason I did this is because I want to force the black toner to be the default for this print job. Now, normally this would probably only use the black toner because it's mostly black text on the page, but even a slight variation in gradient on a font color might be enough to trigger some of the color toner being used. So if you want to restrict it to black and white only, turn off the color option, and that way you'll know that you're only feeding off of that less expensive black cartridge when you don't need color. And of course, you can save a default so that it defaults to black and white and force yourself to turn color back on when you need it. For this print, I'm going to keep double-sided printing off, but I'll demo that in the next run that we do. And I wanted to scroll down here and show you that one discrepancy that I talked about, and that is the quality section here. You'll see that it's set to normal, but I might want a finer quality output. And on the Mac, you're not able to set this because Brother doesn't have a driver for the Mac. It uses the default from the operating system via AirPrint. The good news is that the printer by default is set to fine, so you don't have to worry about it on the Mac side. Even if it says normal, it should be printing out in the higher quality, and that's one limitation on the Mac. On the Windows side, if you install the drivers, you have full access to all of the different features of the printer through the software. But that was the big standout for me, was the fact that the quality here was not able to go beyond normal. But again, it should be printing on fine anyhow. And we're just going to let it choose the proper tray here. We only have one tray to choose from. And I'm going to click on print now, and that will connect up to the printer and get everything going. This is actually going to be a great demo because the printer was sleeping, as you saw a second ago. But it received its data. It's starting to come up now, and we'll see how long it takes for it to warm up and start printing. Now, my Lexmark black and white printer definitely came up a little faster than this one did, but it's not all that much slower. and it will get itself woken up here and get everything heated up, and the paper should start coming out now. This is a pretty simple print. We're not dealing with any graphics here, so you can see the speed of the print as it is coming out of the device here, and this is about the speed you would get whether it's black and white or color, and there you go. I did find the text to be very sharp and crisp on this. No concerns about that. Everything looks like what you would expect out of a laser printer, very legible and readable. And you'll see in a minute there's a couple of little gotchas when you've got more complex color documents, but by and large the quality out of this is very good, both in color and in black and white. Let's take a look at a duplex print now, and then we'll look at its color capabilities. All right, we're back on my Mac now. Same document. I'm just going to print 4 pages, and this time we're going to set double-sided to on, and we'll go ahead here and click print. Now the printer went back to sleep again, so it's going to wake up, and what's going to happen this time is that we'll have a page start to come out, it'll get sucked back in, and then it will print it out again. So let's let this do its thing. From a noise perspective, it is, the standard kind of sound that you would expect out of a laser printer. It does have that copy machine kind of sound to it, but it's not terribly loud, but you might want to put this in a room where it may not disturb people. And as you can see here, it's now sucking the page in and then putting it back out now with text on both sides. So that's our first page, and here comes our second one. So pretty quick to do duplex printing or black and white printing. Why don't we take a look now at a color document? All right, so we're going to print this document out from my Mac here. This is a high-res PDF of a newsletter, kind of this type of thing you might run off of your laser printer. And we're going to go over here to print, and you can see how long it takes for the whole thing to get processed. So we're going to print in color. We're going to leave the double-sided off, and let's go ahead and click print here and see how long it takes for it to get going. I'm going to talk about the registration feature in a minute, which aligns some things on the page, because that was something I did have to run on this printer to get things working right. But why don't we just take a look and see what speed this can print at, and then we'll get into that. So you will have some processing time, especially on complex color documents, but as you'll see here, the print speed in color is the same as it is in black and white. So we'll just let this come out here so you can see it all transfold in real time here, or transpire in real time. So that's the first page, that's the second page. It's going to pause here and think about the third and the fourth, although this time it looks like I got 3 pages out of it, which is great, but we still have one more on the way that it has to think about. Now that page is coming out, but let's take a look and see what the quality is here. Now when I first took the printer out of the box, I noticed that my lettering here was not aligning properly against the blue background. There goes the last page. I had a little bit of a white area because it wasn't quite aligned. And there is a print setting that you can go through on the control panel here to adjust calibration and registration. And I would suggest doing that because this printer, at least out of the box, was a little bit out of alignment, and that impacted its photo quality and the registration of the lettering here on the page. But since I adjusted that, it looks much better. And the photo quality here is pretty nice as well. It's about what you would expect for a laser printer. I'll give you some close-up views here for a little better look. As expected, the text is super, super crisp and sharp. And again, the photos are definitely passable here. So all in, as laser printers go, this is pretty good, provided that you make that registration and calibration adjustment. And if you notice your picture is getting a little bit off, just go back through and run that again to get everything back in line. But that seems to have done the trick. And I'm sure things get jostled a little bit when you move the printer or when it's, of course, shipped to you. But other than that, I've got no complaints here. This is about what I would expect out of it. Photo quality on a laser printer is never going to be as good as it is on an inkjet printer. So this is not something for photo printing, but it's great for doing newsletters and other things like this, where the quality of the photos just has to be passable and usable. But all in, very nice quality as expected out of the printer. Now, as far as compatibility with other devices is concerned, I've had no issues with my Chromebook. As you can see here on my phone, I can go ahead and just select the printer. It pops up here automatically, and I can print right out from my phone or iPad. Same experience on Android too. So once it's on your network, everything is going to come to life here and work without much fuss, which was great. So all of our devices that need to print are going to be able to do that. And as you'll see here, things do come out pretty easily here from your phone. They do have some security features to this that I don't have the ability to test. Namely, there is an NFC reader on the front where you can buy optional tags and give them to employees who have to tap it in order to get stuff to print. So you've got a little bit more here that can go beyond the basics insofar as controlling what users do with your printer. Now, there's also a web-based control panel that you can log into by typing in the local IP address of your printer. I did find that a majority, if not all, of the settings you'll find on this screen can be found on the built-in display. It's actually really easy to work with. In fact, I kind of prefer the built-in display to what I was trying to mess around with on the control panel. So pretty easy here to get in and make all of your adjustments. You can also monitor the status of your toner here as well. So very simple to work with and very easy, especially when you're trying to get this thing connected to your network for the first time. And you can also print directly from a USB stick if you plug in a device to that port and then select whatever files are on it that you want to print out. It'll print image files and PDFs without the need for a computer. One thing I really like about the printer is that I did not have to register anything with Brother in order to get it working. I just put this thing on the network, in my case on the Wi-Fi, but you could easily just plug it into your Ethernet network. And once you've got it connected to your network, all of your devices will see it, and you can set up your printer through Windows, the Mac, or on your mobile device without having to interact with a cloud or share any of your information to do it. I am sure the printer is phoning home to check for firmware updates. When I first started it, it did have a firmware update on its display that I initiated, but beyond that, I haven't had to set up an account anywhere. I just set this thing up on the network and started printing to it, so it's very old school in that way. In fact, you even get a CD-ROM in the box with drivers and other utilities too. So all in, I'm pretty happy with it. The print quality is what I expected. It's going to fix a problem I have here with not being able to print colored documents reliably when I want to, so I can do that now. The quality is fine. I like how sharp all the text and everything is looking out of this. And so far, I am quite pleased with my purchase here. Hopefully it will last as long as my last printer did. And it's unfortunate that these things do eventually fall apart and die on you. But this one, I think, will give me a couple of good years here, and the cost of ownership isn't too significant. That will do it for this one. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.